Alright folks, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host Josh, and this is part 14 of our Let's Play of Head as Code. When we last left off, let's see, can I see? I'm actually curious about that. What happens if I hit escape here? No, okay. It doesn't look like I can see the flowchart from here. But we've gone back even earlier at this point. We went back to basically right after we discovered the lounge, and we decided to focus on that little sheet of paper that talked about somebody being like an odd person out, and there was the weird extra I and E that we couldn't figure out. And as we're talking with people about that, all of a sudden Marco poisons himself, or someone else poisons himself with coconut, which he is allergic to. And so now we are all off on an effort to try to get him to the infirmary, where hopefully somebody can help save him. But there are stations on the way that we haven't unlocked, so we've gone there as one big group. So finally, we're off again. We're going to the other side this time, huh? I guess it was a bit out of our control. Anyway, we have two stations to stop at. The first is the security room, and the other is the laboratory, yeah. Who's going where? We've got a security room, a laboratory, an infirmary. That one's for A&M, and a gym. Like, for fitness? The train was already inbound to the first station. Very soon it arrived and stopped all movements. Quickly, the more we wait, the more danger M will be in. Who will go? What are our teams like? I think the twins might go together again? Before my suggestion brought any reactions, Ray walked back in from the other compartment. We need someone to go, huh? I'll go. Oh, okay, that solves that. With who, though? She cast a glance at me. Yeah! Was I really gonna sacrifice myself like this? No, I couldn't. If A would go with Marco since he needed to bring him if A would go with Marco since he needed to bring him to the infirmary, I was the only one left who could communicate with E, and so my duo was already decided. Disregarding our hesitation, Ray stepped towards the girls. I'll go with her. Hey! This is assault. What is going on here? Let go! Very quickly, he stepped backwards towards the open doors. Jasmine moved forward as if to stop him, but he quickly stopped her in her tracks when the click of a certain metallic object made it clear he wasn't joking. Whoa! Whoa! Ray, my man! What's happening here? The man had a gun and was trained right at us. His strength alone could keep the girl in check. This was just his insurance. What? Shut up and stop gesticulating. God, and I hate it when they gesticulate. You're coming with me. You and your twin are super suspicious. We gotta find someone who isn't like the others, huh? The chances of us landing here with identical twins are abysmally low. I mean, it's not like we were plucked randomly out of the total, like, group of mankind. Like, you know, there's clearly some decision made on why we specifically were brought together. If I had to guess, then, one of you is who we're looking for. You know, the traitor. Whoa, whoa, hey, don't move now. He reaffirmed his hold against Aisha's body, squeezing her tighter with his strong arm. The man had caught G taking a step forward to defy him. Don't do anything you might fucking regret, okay? Let go of her. She's not like that, I swear. She's not the one you're looking for. What's that? Are you, then? Heard you both say something about a traitor to each other earlier. Of course not, you idiot! Neither of us are who you're looking for! You stupid maniac! Let go, I'll kick you in the nads! But no matter how much she swung her legs, every hit missed. None were a critical hit to the nads. It almost felt like she was missing him on purpose. Why would she miss him on purpose? Perhaps, oh, okay. Yeah, alright, that's fair. Perhaps she didn't want to actually trigger him to pull the gun on her. Perhaps she was only doing this as a token show of resistance. She secretly wants to go with him. They're actually good friends in real life. I closed my hands into fists and inhaled, then exhaled. I wasn't going to go pull her out of his grip. That would be too dangerous. Jasmine was just as angry and powerless as I was. When Ray stepped out, following our inaction, she lunged forward. Ray aimed at her. No! I screamed just as H screamed too. G's screams joined the cacophony, and I almost lost my footing with a sudden noise erupting around me. Whoa! Pulled Jasmine back into the train, though. A shot had fired from the gun, though it was difficult to tell if she'd been hit. It's so annoying having somebody in this game be named A. I mean, obviously we know his real name now, but I quickly took a look at her as we fell in a heap. The bullet wasn't in her. I looked up at the ceiling. The bullet wasn't even in the train either. Is this full of blanks? Quick glance at Ray told me he'd fired it in the air as a warning shot. We gotta leave in pairs, so don't fuck with me. And you wanna know where I found this gun, I bet. Before you accuse me of doing some bad shit, you should... But his monologue was interrupted by the doors closing behind him when he stepped through the doorframe at the end of the station. He kept gesticulating before H suddenly bit his hand. By the time he let go of her, it was already too late. I want to take a quick moment here to talk about something that I was thinking about right before I started this episode. It's a little weird, the way that things have changed based on the decisions we've made. Right? Like, the very first ones we were making when it was like, oh, what do we do with the gun? Do we keep it? Or, like, that stuff made sense in terms of the consequences of what our actions did, based on what we were trying to do and what we did, right? The differences in what happened in the timeline then kind of made sense. The one we did after that was where we made a different choice to not go with A, which had its own consequences that made some sense. But then Jasmine went kind of crazy, right? So the question is, why didn't Jasmine go crazy in the version of events where we went with A, right? Did something different happen because of our action? Or is this not, or are these different timelines not actually caused by our actions, if that makes sense? Because, like, the most recent ones, too, have a very similar kind of thing. Like, why is Marco dealing with coconut allergy stuff in this one when our only deciding action there was to focus on the paper that we got, right? I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's something more going on here than we know about. That probably is the case. It just doesn't feel like our actions are delivering the consequences of them what happens afterwards. That's all I wanted to say. Anyways, train was driving off. I was left alone with Jasmine, who was standing up, G, who was frightened and looked extremely perturbed, don't blame her, and E, who was just chilling. Just in the back seat, just iPod in, just jamming. I guess she couldn't do much with an iPod right now, but it's okay. All we can do is hope that he sticks to his word. What did he say at the end? What should we do about what? I don't know. I couldn't hear. Did you? I asked G, but it was useless. The girl was sobbing. I wasn't too good with this, so I left Jasmine to handle it. Our teams were pretty much decided anyway. I'll go fill E in on what just happened. You take care of G, okay? Yeah, that's the plan. It's okay. We'll get your sister back. I also glanced over at Marco and A in the other compartment. The old man was standing up slowly, apparently having been knocked unconscious before. Did Ray? I shook my head. That man's actions couldn't be condoned, but I had something to do. In the next long minutes, I spent them explaining everything to E. It also would have been interesting if the game had let us choose our first path the first time through. Like, I think I'm starting to understand why it did what it did, and probably be more explained or to be more obvious by the time we get to the end of this. But it would have been interesting to go down, like, this path and be like, man, like, you know, A seems like a real good guy, and then have it later be revealed that he is who he is. That's horrible. I hope she'll be okay. That man is a jerk. I don't think he really cared about what we thought at this point. He never has seemed to. She couldn't see me, and we had to search rooms again. This was going to be strange. Before I knew it, Jasmine the twin left, and then Marco and A left too. Oh, so we're gonna get to go to the gym. I also hoped Marco would be fine, but then I didn't really care that much, as the more I thought about it. It had taken a while to get to the station, so if he was treated now, perhaps it might be too late. I cringed, clenching my teeth together hard. I couldn't allow myself to think about the worst-case scenarios. Finally, we arrived at our destination. Took E's hand again. We're there, huh? Let's go. We stepped outside. Mechanically, we wandered to the open doorway. We only had one thing to do, so we stepped into the lobby. Very shortly, the doors closed behind us. How many times would we have to do this anyway? I calculated we would run out of stations in 2, maybe 3 outings. That's if those maps we all had access to it. That's if those maps were all we had access to, at least. I see. I guided E up the stairs. There was a tiny hallway, and the first room I poked my head in was entirely different than the one I had found before with Marco. It was a fitness room, but it also had a full gymnasium attached to it, or was it the reverse? Alright, E, we're gonna play a pickup game here. I relayed this information to E. A gymnasium? I always wanted to go to one of those. Well, alright, now wait a minute. What? What? Because with what we know about E, she at least at some point in her life has lived normally, and that's not the right word to use, but like was able to see and hear. So why would she have never been to a gymnasium before? Not that I really can anymore. It's not really my kind of thing anyway, so I'm not very fit. Yeah, I was gonna say something, but like, time to tone those abs up, girl. I can't see you, but I bet you probably went to some in the past, huh? Probably like super hot, muscular, right? Am I getting the picture right? She was giving me a compliment, wasn't she? It was a little awkward since I couldn't reply quickly. I did want to tell her she looked pretty fit, but I chose to withhold, even if she was cute. Jasmine would probably have hit me if she'd heard my thoughts, and God forbid you think someone is cute. It was time to focus on this room. Before I could do much, I saw E trying to feel her way around the room. She must have understood this place was very spacious, and she had a lot of free ground to tread, even if most of it was empty. She's looking for that B-ball. She wants to play it, I know. Still, I didn't want her to hurt herself by mistake, like by walking into this cell. By walking into a wall, for example, so I reached out to her wrist and grabbed it. Are you concerned about me? It's okay, I can feel the air, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like this place is very empty and spacious. But I guess I can understand your concern. If you want then, lead me somewhere I can be useful, and I'll stay there. And if you need anything touched or felt, I can probably do that better than most. There was something weird about her proposal. Not weird, but weird like uncomfortably weird. She must have sensed my unease as she corrected herself. I mean, if you find something that has to be manipulated or it can be held, I'd be good at that. So like a Rubik's puzzle, but not with colors, but instead like bright. And for what it's worth too, I'm rather slim, so that's right, just sneak into this little cell here. I wrote to interrupt her in her thoughts. What do you mean? Are you trying to flirt? Aren't we all flirting with fate? I could tell by her tone she wasn't taking this seriously. I mean, what kind of a question is that? So, like, we have this paper that, like, I mean, I guess right now in this moment we might not know exactly how valuable it is and how limited it is, but like, are we really gonna waste one asking her if she's flirting? I guess I can start by giving her some sort of task. Dribble this ball, and then crack the code. They got very square pupils. All right, well, you know what? No, we gotta play some b-ball first. Walked up to the ball and felt it in my hands. Strangely enough, the surface was like very rough. This isn't a normal basketball. There are nubs all over it, but I can't figure out what it means. This sounds like something we should give to E. In fact, they aren't evenly spaced either. I picked up my paper and handed the ball to E. I explained to her that maybe there was something for her to do in here in the end. Smiley nose. Oh, nice! A big ball, huh? You want me... God damn. You want me to touch your ball? I rubbed the back of my head. Why did she always say it in the strangest way possible? It's pretty big. I don't know if I can hold something like that properly. I rubbed the back of my head harder. Why did she always put it in the strangest way possible? Maybe if I use both hands, I can squeeze it better. Oh, it's very firm. I hastily wrote onto a piece of paper, E, no! E, no! Oh, you just want me to know what's up with the surface. I'll examine it then. Come back on me after a bit. No, and I should have this figured out. Girl, you didn't know what you could do to a boy. Bunch of weirdos. Alright, well, she told me to come back there, so I guess let's look at other things in the meantime here. These floor lines were placed there to delineate the borders of some games. Painting those things on the ground ought to be an annoying job. That does seem like it'd be a pain. They sometimes use tape because the paint would go away, but I guess it doesn't matter in here, since nobody would use this place. They don't, you know, don't count your chickens before they've hatched. Looks more like a replica of another location. Unless the people who built all this wanted to dunk on each other between sessions of rearrangement. I bet they did. Know for a fact I'd dunk on Marco if he was here. But for E? I cast a glance at her. I don't dunk on E. And folks, really, that's the message this game is really trying to send to us all, I think, is don't dunk on E. gonna get a poster and hang it above my computer here, just as a reminder. It just says don't dunk on E. Those things probably are used for, I don't know. Maybe to keep score? Like a scoreboard? Maybe they're only here to look fancy and give this place a bit more flair. According to what was written on the flags, they were given to a bunch of high school teams. One of them was for the Lions, one of them was for the Wolves, one for the Eagles, and one for the Rabbits. Okay, this might be puzzly. Out of all of those, I swear the Wolves sound the most dangerous. Now hold on. What was it? Alright, Lions are more dangerous than Wolves, I'm gonna say. Well, okay, if it's a one-on-one between Lions and Wolves, definitely Lions. If it's a pack of Wolves, I'll give it to Wolves. Eagles, I'll still give it to Wolves, and obviously I'll give it to Wolves over Rabbits. All right. So really, it's a question on if there's a pack or not. If it isn't, then Lion takes it. That's what I'm here to say, Simon. Who would cheer for the Rabbits? Hey, I like rabbits. Really wanted a rabbit as a kid. That door was locked. It reminded me of the doors in the stations a little, but instead of a lock, this one had a keypad. Different kinds of keys were needed to unlock both. How many numbers? Numbers, numbers. Why is everything numbers? Numbers on our collars, numbers for these passwords, bathrooms when you do number 1 or number 2. And the biggest number of all, Marco himself, a complete digit. Get dunked on, Marco. Love to dunk on Marco. Never dunk on E. Ruffled my hair a little. This door wouldn't open yet. I glanced inside of that space. Something about it was nagging at me. The rack held 3 different kinds of dumbbells. Yeah, looks like triangles, squares, and circles. Their ends were made up of 3 shapes, circle, square, and triangle. The top level had 5 circle dumbbells, the middle level had 2 square dumbbells, and the bottom level had 3 triangle dumbbells. Okay, that's certainly important. What could this mean? It's clearly important. Simon, you and me are just on the same page. Hey! Anyone there? We're here! Help! I waved my hands at the window up above, but as the darkness indicated, there was no one in there. Perhaps it had been a tinted window. No, the likeliest explanation was there was nothing behind those windows. No matter how much I looked inside, it was pitch black, as if the wall had been placed right behind the windows. And they were painted black. Oh, Jesus. Ceci n'est pas une fenêtre, huh? Window instead of pipe. I don't know what any of that is. Oh, okay. Well, I forgot about that this was the ball. I came by E again after leaving her with my ball for a while. Sure. Let's put it that way. Why not? The surface of this spherical object is very intriguing. In fact, I would even say it's not a regular basketball. I could feel the lines across the surface, but there were also all sorts of little nubs poking out of it. And if I crossed the surface with my fingers, I could read 2 things, because these things are Braille. I knew it. I knew it right away. And it says that circle is second. Okay. So this is probably letting us know what order to put these in terms of the number of how many there are. I don't know what that means, but perhaps that can help you? Okay, circle is second. I acknowledged her help with another piece of paper. She looked overjoyed. Amazing! I'm so glad to have helped with your ball issue. If you don't mind, though, I want to keep it in my hands. I mean, I get that. You want to have something to fidget with. I vacated the immediate area to focus on a way to leave this place before this girl ended me. This girl's about to end me. Speaking of which, let's chat more now that I know that we can do this. He was pretty busy at the moment. I could have spoken to her, but Maybe it was better to let her work. Instead, I took a glance around the place again, basking in the wide open area and inhaling air deeply. I was sure if I spoke to her, she would tell me that we should enjoy the time we had here in this spacious room all to ourselves. It was the closest to the outside world we had in here. While it didn't have a soft breeze or the birds chirping, or both, it was still, well, relaxing. I wonder if this place echoes. But then E broke that silence. Heyo! Her voice echoed around the gymnasium for only a moment. While she couldn't confirm that it in fact echoed here, I could. Hooey! Hooey! What is this? Hooey! Just like her voice, mine echoed too. Granted, hers was much more pleasant to hear. While no one likes the sound of their own voice, generally speaking. That's a safe. It's safely locked. Pretty simple. Fair enough. Strange. This thing is pretty high. I forgot. Are the baskets supposed to be higher or lower than this? It looks pretty close to right. Maybe it should be a little bit lower. I wonder if this is legal. Legal? I wonder if this is up to basketball code. I looked around the pole, but I didn't see anything particularly different. However, when I made my way behind it, there was something indicated on the back of the rectangular plate. Squares are 3. Okay, so it's gotta be triangle, circle, square then. So it's 3, 5, 2. What does that mean? Squares have 4 sides. Surely this has another meaning that would only make sense once I found other stuff. That's how escape rooms work, right? Okay, so we have what we need now to do that, but let's look at this first. Nothing beyond there except for the bathrooms. Does every station here have bathrooms? I mean, they should. It's nice to think that Smiley cared enough to do all this plumbing for us. Because toilets are linked with pipes and whatever, right? Still can't wrap my head around all this. Alright, 3, 5, 2. Put together what I knew of the shapes and numbers so far. According to 2 numbers I found, I determined the third. Those shapes were like the dumbbells. Yeah, no, I get it. And of course, even if there were, yeah, no, I get it. No, I know. Let me put it in. That's not enough. What have I missed? There must have been a 4th number some. Oh, wait, what? Maybe I should have been paying more attention. Assuming 5, 2, and 3 were the only numbers, and I knew where 2 of them would go, because I never found anything for a 4th spot. Oh, 0 is a number 2. That must go in the 4th spot. And there... This... Listen. I'm really, genuinely enjoying this game so far, in terms of its story and characters and all that stuff. You know, this stuff is generally right up my alley. But the fact that this game does not let me solve its puzzles, it was something like this. Like, it was just let me put in the numbers, let me put in the code. Come on, let me feel good and smart. The code was 3520. Was that right? I would have been right? 352, and then yeah, we put the 0 at the end. Wonder how realistic it would be to brute force this if you figure out that the code was only made of 4 numbers. Alright, well, let's look at these again now. From afar, I can see the dumbbells, but from up close, I realized they weren't real. Smiley wants to be sure that there is no way that you were buffing up while you were here. You were going to stay exactly the same size you were. There was no real weight to them, but they were glued to the rack as if they weren't meant to be taken out. Makes sense. This was already used, so no point to it now. Them's the escape room rules. Each of these lockers was interesting. With the doors open, they gave me a sequence of 8 numbers written across the inside of the doors. And of course, the actual lockers themselves are pretty useless. Wait, this doesn't tell me the sequence to put all those numbers in. Damn it. There had to be something else to do here. After a few moments, I found there was yet another object hidden between the 2 halves of the lockers, between the 4th and 5th ones. Okay. Sliding puzzle. Oh, I hate those so much. You know, I used to think I hated them, and now I think there's something about them that I find kind of relaxing. Hey, wait. The surface is kind of 3D. I wonder if... I gave the object to E after joining her current location. Do you want me to mess with this? I didn't even need to answer for her to start toying with it. She was so reliable. When we didn't need to take 5 million years to communicate, when we didn't need to take 5 million years to communicate one sentence. This might take me a while. Check in with me again later. Well, I've got some bad news. I sort of ran out of things to do. I can look at this map for a second. Give you a moment. Alright, that was the time you got. There! Well, good. I'm glad you got it. I did it! She spoke aloud when she finished with the sliding puzzle. It opened, letting a piece of paper fall onto the ground. I grabbed it and read its contents. This is... Wait, what is this? This is a diagram of a compass with the numbers on it. There's also a riddle of some kind. It says... East, north, west... I'm gonna get this wrong if I say it too quickly. East, north, west, south, west, north, east, north, west, south, east. And then it's got a bunch of directives to follow. According to this diagram, north, east, west, and south are the first, second, third, and fourth lockers. Oh! Oh, Jesus. Okay. Alright. Oh, okay. North is 1, south is 8, east is 3, west is... I took note of all the directions, their corresponding numbers. I'm, like, only half thinking about this right now because I'm assuming it's just gonna solve it for me. And then the directives asked me to remove a bunch of them from the lineup. No, this gives me east, north, south, east, north, south, east. Those would be 28283, but that doesn't work. I asked E about what she thought was wrong. I needed a bit to translate the entire directives over, but eventually she giggled at me. What? What was so funny? Oh, you're a silly boy, yes? Don't you see what's wrong with your solution? You're trying east-north, but no one has ever said it like that. Yeah, it's northeast, you idiot. Usually it's northeast, you idiot. I think you need to reform your pairs better. Crap. She was right. East-north was pretty dumb. Then the answer became east-south, northeast, southeast, which translated to 38283. Now, what is this for, I wonder? What could this... Viewers at home, do you know what this code is for? Go ahead and point to your screen if you think that's it. Is it the basketball? No. It's the safe. I entered the code into this wide safe. This huge, huge safe. 38283, and it worked. The safe came open. Great. We're out of here. Assuming this is the end of it. I opened it and then instantly froze up, closing it again in surprise. Inside the locker was a gun. Now wait a minute. Okay, now hear me out. It's fully possible that this thing just already has a gun. And it might be where A got his gun, where A got his gun from originally. That's totally possible. But, and hear me out here. What if there's some kind of really weird timeline thing going on here, where we are finding the gun that we ourselves put into this safe in the future past? You get what I'm saying? In this other timeline, when we were here with E, one of the choices was to hide the gun in the safe. It just seems a little coincidental that we would now find a gun here. I don't know. That's kind of crazy. Take a sip. Here. Keep going. Did Smiley put this in there so things would spiral out of control? I mean, we already have somebody with a gun. There was no way anyone wouldn't keep this on themselves after finding it. I looked at E while feeling strangely uneasy. E, I'm gonna just tuck this into your pocket, alright? I opened the safe again and saw there was a code written on the back. Just another bunch of numbers, but it seemed as though it was our key out of here. Hey, you're still there, right? Have you found anything else? I mean, it seems like the logical thing to do here would be just put the gun back in the safe and just close it. I shivered in reluctance. How could I tell her that I'd found something? Yes, but it was nothing we should ever have come into contact with. There was a gun in there. A fucking gun! I definitely couldn't bring myself to use this. No way. No fucking way. But I also couldn't let anyone else find it. Wouldn't it be stupid if I left it in here and then somehow Ray came into contact? He already has a gun! The dude you're worried about already has a gun! Silence. I hope you're still there. Hope you didn't get sucked in to the safe. I have something to talk about that I just thought up. It's kind of related to my studies back when I was still at the university. This was somewhat interesting, so I chased the thought of the gun from my mind for a bit. Did you have a feeling like you were solving all of this really easily? Like, if you had been given a set of blueprints, then followed what was on them without really looking at useless stuff much. I felt that way with the puzzle I had to solve. I didn't see it, of course, but I still solved it very fast. I could feel the puzzle, sure, but normally it would have taken me much longer to have an idea of what it was even about. So, my studies dealt with thought processes and that kind of thing. You know how thoughts are very complicated, but in essence they're kind of like a transmission of data between the senses and the brain. This is sort of like what Marco was talking about. That's a mind in extremely, extremely simple terms. And you know how that data could, theoretically, be manipulated or sent, or even received. Okay, so we're getting into some real 999 VLR Zero Escape stuff here. You know about computers, I'm sure. It's a little like cloud technology. When using that, everything gets saved somewhere, in the cloud, and then anything that has access to the cloud can pull from it. Due to that, I was wondering, is it possible that we're pulling from some kind of cloud? And especially in my case, since my senses are disabled, I have no recourse but to try really hard otherwise. So maybe my senses are disabled, so I'm forced to pull from the cloud. If I'm given no choice, I either both fail and get no information, or I succeed and... She motioned at the solved puzzle she still held, essentially forcing me to pull from it. I knew what she meant. So far, I had felt this a little, yes, but I couldn't let myself get caught up in that thought. If this was the code to unlock the doors below, we were free for now. I wrote to her to explain the situation. Oh, we're done already? Why didn't you say so instead of having me waste time talking about this weird nonsense? I hope the talk was nice at least. And you know, I wonder what this all means. And if any of this is true, what is being transmitted? From where? And why? I had to follow her example. She was still positive and happy despite all that's happened to her. She was smart, too. I went to unlock all the doors and made my way back to the safe. Before we went, I had this to consider. This gun. I had to take it. Did you have to? Do you have to? Despite my decision, I hesitated slightly. This was still a gun. I knew I had no choice, despite that fact, because Ray was out there, and he similarly possessed one of those. And we all know, folks, we all know the only way to stop a bad Ray with a gun is a good Simon with a gun. I wonder, did Ray find it in one of these escape rooms too? He was gonna kind of explain it, and then he got interrupted. Were they planted here to make us fight each other? If that's the case, boy, am I glad I found this one before anyone else did. I don't trust any of these people. Deciding that had been enough time wasted, I snatched it up and stuffed it into the bag the old man gave me. As I went to fetch E again, I thought at least I had a way to hide it. As long as nobody checked it, the bag would conceal the firearm. I took her down to the little lobby. Since the doors were unlocked, we could step forward and back to the station. It was time to give our farewells to this area. We had plenty of time to do that because the train didn't come by for a little bit. I decided to cut those farewells short and instead grab some pens out. I needed to notify E of what I had in mind. Huh, you're going to confront Ray? But isn't that dangerous? I reassured her with another message. How did we get into this situation? This doesn't seem right. I wordlessly agreed with her in my head. She was right. None of this was correct. The stations weren't right. The participants were all mismatched. Even the trains were somehow different. And yet, now that I thought about it, we all usually rode the same train. It took a long time to travel through the entire line. They were long enough to make it last around an hour from start to end. So then, why did we always wait so much? There were multiple trains, after all. I thought we had pretty much established that there's only one train. What if this place was cut off from the main sub? Well, yeah, that's definitely true. Does that make sense? Unfortunately, before I could really form up some kind of idea about this place, the train had arrived. I took E's hand and stepped forward. The whole time, she had been silent, perhaps as pensive as I'd been. As the train departed, I thought I should ask for her input sometime. Maybe she would have figured something out. Stations came by. The train stopped at each of them, but this time around there was not a single soul ready to board the train along with us. On the way between the penultimate station before the lounge and the lounge itself, I realized that I could have made full use of this time by asking E's opinion during our travels. I'd wasted some time. I also felt tired, so ultimately I didn't know if I really wanted to proceed with that. Huh. Well, that is interesting. I mean, we know that paper is important. We know this. But let's this time around, let's get E's input on the trains. I quickly grabbed a strip of paper and wrote my question to her. All it asked was about her thoughts and why the train took so long to arrive every time we used it. Oh, I didn't know about that. I mean, I did feel like the train was taking a while, but you're also saying whenever you take the train, you usually end up traveling with another team of 2. I included that part in the message, too. It had happened before already. The chances of that happening were null on the normal metro system. If you didn't specifically come with someone, chances are you'd miss each other. What's the likeliest scenario, I wonder? Maybe there's only one train. Smiley is alone, right? I mean, we can't really know that, but if you were just one person, what's easier to take over? One train and one colored line, or multiple trains in the entire metro? So maybe it's just one train. That means Smiley may not be operating on a large scale, huh? I don't know, have you seen that man's elevator? The train slowed down just as our discussion came to a halt. Communication is what I would call it. Soon the train stopped its movements. I snagged E's hand again. I didn't really want to pull her along everywhere, since it felt sort of patronizing in a way. I didn't have a choice, unfortunately. And we're off! She followed me into the lobby. For a moment, I expected the door to close behind us, but I remembered this wasn't one of those escape rooms. Finally, we went up the stairs. Because I had to explore an entire room with E, who was less active than the others, I expected someone else to have come in before us, yet no one was here, and there were no traces of anyone coming by since our departure either. I shared the thought with E, who simply nodded and quietly sat down onto one of the couches. There was nothing to do but wait. Again, the thought of the trains taking a while went through my head. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes followed. After 20, I felt a little antsy. I gotta do something. And folks, we're gonna do that something next time. I don't know what the something is, but we are gonna do it. Until then, let us just all remember, never dunk on E. Let's let that be a creed that we all follow ongoing into the future. Until next time then, folks, this has been Downstage Gaming. I have been your host, Josh, and I will catch you all next time.